everything off.
Okay. How many of us are there? Hello, everyone. So welcome to the second of our Montana Writers Professional Learning Network meetings. Yeah, I'm excited to have Tammy here and Kurt and Christy.
Yay.
Wendy cannot make it this time because she's in Belize. And just a picture of a tropical beach today, and I almost told her.
Yep. Yes, I got that same picture, which I couldn't open at first because our email was acting up this morning, but just got to open it about a half an hour ago. I was like, yeah, that's nice. It was a lovely photo. Nice.
That's nice. It looks lovely.
Yeah.
I could send a photo of Great Falls.
Oh, I feel like I know what Great Falls looks like. I appreciate that, though, Kurt.
Kurt, I look out towards you. I look out towards the north, so you're just sort of over those hills over there. So a little cloudy today.
Yeah. So what do you think? We'll just give everybody a couple more minutes to see if any other people show up, and then we'll get started.
Sounds good. Hopefully a few more people will come in.
Just another reminder for all of us to remind everyone we know to submit or at least start drafting proposals for Helena's NEA in October.
Yes, those did come out this week. Thanks, Kurt, for that reminder.
And that is open. You can start applying already, correct?
Yes, the call for proposals is up, and I haven't submitted anything yet, but I'm guessing it works.
Yeah, I'm assuming as well.
Yeah.
The curriculum representatives had their meeting already, so they probably tried it out.
Yeah, hopefully.
How are you, Tammy?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Very good.
I'm very sorry that I missed the first meeting.
That's okay. We forgive you.
Amy, you were probably working with writers, weren't you?
I was actually teaching writing on the Pine Ridge Reservation.
Well,
Yeah.
grand. I should have logged on.
Yeah, had the writers log on with us, that would have been fun.
Oh, it really would have been fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Tammy, we do have that recorded, and I'll show you where you can find that in a little bit. There's actually a couple different places that you can find it, so when we get to that point in the agenda, I'll show you that, and you can always pop in and just see the recording. We did have more. We had about 8 people last time, I think, and there were a couple of people that logged in and logged out. So that's why we were sort of waiting this time, but I think we should probably just go ahead and
I think
get
so
going.
as well.
Okay.
So we just want to start out today with taking a moment to write and thinking about either a moment that you kind of went aha and kind of thought something all of a sudden, or even something that you might have struggled with this week. And just take a minute to write, and then we'll share it. For instance, I think most of everything I thought of was both an aha and a struggle moment for me this week.
Me too.
does anybody want to share their struggle or aha moment for the week?
I would love to. This is Tammy.
Go ahead.
It's both a struggle and aha, like two things at the same, exactly the same thing. I've been working with a number of school districts on the development of their approach to writing, particularly focused on kindergarten through 6th grade. And for me, as a writer, it's been really, I've been like journaling about it virtually every night. And my awareness is that there's so much greater diversity, even in schools that I did not believe, that I thought had kind of created an approach to teaching writing. The understandings of teachers were so different, and that some teachers actually perceived that writing was something that was only done with the gifted students, or that they had to have the prerequisite of phonics before they would be capable of being writers. And so that was a huge struggle for me, and also an aha. And I've been struggling with it mightily all week.
Well, and that is an amazing aha, and it just comes back to that, kind of accountability piece of what the teachers feel, and that quantifiable phonemic awareness data benchmarks that they perceive need to be hit first.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and the idea was that they perceive it to be a prerequisite, and then the writing opportunity is removed. So
Right.
writing opportunity has been removed in this one particular school from kindergartners, where we actually have the data, and I was able to show them writing samples from kindergartners from that same school from many years ago, where you could see the difference. It was a really it was very emotional for me. It was a really emotional week.
Right.
I mean, is this also a collaboration opportunity or moment to compare notes with that group of teachers about what their highlights or most important feelings are, and integrate that with the school's expectations?
Right, but my challenge is that the teachers' expectations vary widely from teacher to teacher, of course, as you can imagine, and that some of them just actually don't believe that young children can write.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really a suspended disbelief. That is the issue. It's just been it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Mine's in the text chat, or at least the first 2/3. I guess my aha moment was I needed to isolate lines, or 10 lines at once, for students to talk about if they weren't able to answer the initial prompts about plot conflicts in general, such as the notion of fate versus individual action that Zeus essentially raises in Book 1, to have, paragraph sections, groups of 12 lines or so, and then have individual students read those and talk about the dimensions of plot conflicts that show up. So anyway, I'm going to have that ready for class tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes you have to step back just a little bit.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
How about you, Christy?
I created a little, let me send it out to you in the chat here, just a small little haiku about what we've been doing this week. I accidentally hit enter too quickly, and it sent out the first part a little bit ago, but strategic planning, trouble with strategy B, aha, make it 2. So we're working on our strategic plan in the department, and so we're having to write, design and write our strategic plan, and the strategy B, which is sort of the second strategy, was just not feeling right. It wasn't fitting. It wasn't working. We couldn't figure out what was going on, and then we realized that we actually sort of had 2 embedded into this one, and that's why we were having trouble with the onward planning of that. So anyway, so it's a bit of a writing activity because we're creating this plan and having to write about it in a thoughtful manner. And so that was my aha moment. Make it 2.
Sometimes it's very simple. It seems so complicated. My aha and struggle moment has come. I'm trying to get my students to be comfortable with inquiry, and that's both been a struggle and some aha, because it surprises me how many students I have who are resistant to inquiry. So for Genius Hour, they get to choose anything of interest to them and create something, and I had a student tell me that she doesn't want to do that. She just wants teachers to tell her what to learn.
Tell her what to learn. Mm-hmm. Well, they want to sit and receive. They want to be the vessels that we pour into, because that's, easier for them if they can just sink it in rather than having to create it out.
Yeah.
That's a struggle. It's hard to hear.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm sorry for you.
Mm-hmm. What was an aha moment then around that? Let me scroll up here in the chat.
We finally came to an idea, and it's a good enough idea, but she's gonna do something.
Okay. So
we'll see how inquiry grows on her.
And so you're kind of using the Genius Hour to incorporate, like, to have the time to sort of push this more inquiry-based project, or am I understanding that right, kind of?
Yeah, so every Wednesday we have a class in time to do my directions that they could choose anything that was of interest to them that they had a question about. They have to create something, whether it's a lesson, a blog, a song. And then at the end of all of it, so they have to figure out if they need to research, they need to figure out if they need to advertise, if they need to use social media or anything like that. And then at the end of the semester, they have to have some sort of product that they can display, and then they're going to do a TED Talk on their experience.
One thing that could be inspirational for that student and any students that are struggling is sort of, and you and I talked about this because at NCTA I went to that, that great Students as Researchers, workshop that is just so stuck with me. And I think students in particular who may be struggling to come up with these ideas, it's giving that empowerment to them to research and find, like, if she's got her area that she's going to head in, now have her research and sort of analyze other successful projects or whatever it is that she's doing, have her find several other ones, and what makes this one, what makes this one work, what makes this one not, and sort of that might engage her a little bit more. I don't know, it's worth a try maybe. I'm sure you're already, on the process of doing that, but that would be something.
We got a topic that was a challenge.
That was
it. What are you interested in? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry.
Let's research nothing.
Yeah, the Super Bowl's over. What's left to be interesting?
No, she didn't even care about the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Nothing. What do you do after school? Do you just go and sit and stare at the wall? I look at my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Chatting.
We're getting there. We'll get there.
Okay.
Gabby, I see you have a question.
I was just looking at that too.
I have, and this is really me filling a very personal need right now.
Right. That's what this PLC is for.
I need you all so much. Please don't leave. So here's my question. I'm actually in the process of writing compelling questions for a curriculum that is extremely difficult. Can I run a question by you through the chat?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I'm just going to type the question, and then I'm not even going to tell you what the topic is in relation to.
While Tammy's typing that, I just was going to kind of pop in for Kurt and Bridget, and I think someone else popped on here, maybe Jake is listening in excluding some children from opportunities to write, and in particular, I know that comes out of Tammy's recent experience, but I also feel that this happens with reading, with math, with, there's a, with English language learners in particular. I know from my years and years of experience, it's, oh, they can't do that because they don't really know English. I'm like, well, certainly they can. And, there's that, you hear that a lot, and it's just such a struggle. And I do think it applies to, all content areas, for students.
Well, there's the question posted. The question is, are you different enough to be scary? And it deals with a multicultural context, as you could imagine, where there will be a segment of the curriculum that pulls people forward to contemporary times, but we're actually looking at the 1850s on the Great Plains. About 15 different tribal groups plus encroaching settlers and the U.S. military.
I love this question. Is this part of the curriculum, Tammy, that you're thinking?
Well, yeah, it's part of it's a curriculum problem, and I think it's one of the most provocative questions that I've ever looked at, and I've been really grappling with it. Of course, the sub-questions that go to it are very primary source and text dependent.
Right.
But the whole idea of there's a moment at which difference becomes so great that it potentially is scary to others, or is perceived as being so great that it's scary, but there were also ways where differences in the past were able to be negotiated. There were processes, procedures, even ceremonies for negotiating difference. So I've been just grappling with that question, and I wanted to share it with more people. Curtis, your comment already about transgender students maybe is exactly one of the things that came to my mind immediately.
Yes, and what I thought of immediately with this question, Tammy, then is probably somewhat similar along the lines for what Kurt was going at. I was thinking of, I had my second grader, there was some curricular piece about students putting themselves in the shoes of other people, and this was particular to the civil rights movement. So, of course, if I were, living in Mississippi during the time when, Black and white students couldn't go to school together, of course, all your students say, well, of course, I would be the one wanting them to come to school with us or whatever. But in reality, that's not really the case, because that difference itself is scary. So to me, this kind of comes to that it's getting at that idea of difference is scary, being different is scary, and that affects our actions. And I think that's what we all sort of were going to in our minds. And hopefully I said that clearly enough. I should probably be joining the chat here. I just felt like I wanted to, it was easier.
No, that makes total sense to me. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think there are a lot of modern contexts too, and I think that goes to Kurt's transgender students. I think I had a Middle Eastern student last semester who I think experiences some of those same things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of connections that you can make there.
Exactly. Oh, very interesting. I think I've loved this question since it was proposed by one of my team members, and I've been mightily working to defend it, shall we say.
I just typed keep defending. Keep using it.
Yeah, to me, there's so many wonderful ways that you could take this to do social justice work, to do a social justice project with kids that brought them right to contemporary settings.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Yeah.
And I just wrote, I think it would generate and could generate some really powerful writing too. Like you said, Tammy, social justice issues, and Kurt's comment about even differences in appearance, exceptional talent. There's so many differences that kids would have access points to.
Exactly. They can all think of something unique and different about themselves in the context of their own class.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Oh, what a great, this is a great discussion.
Well,
I'm sitting here feeling,
I feel empowered now. Thanks.
oh, I'm so glad, Tammy, and I feel like this is what, Bridget and Wendy, when you wanted to start this PLC, I just feel like this is exactly why, so that we can get together and have these discussions, in an environment with peers around the state that can, help give perspective on things.
I agree. I love that question too, Tammy, and I want to steal it.
You can't. I've been sworn to secrecy. If you steal it, I will have to kill you, Bridget. It would be terrible.
I won't tell you when I've stolen it.
I think we could probably rework it in a way that it might be not quite as identifiable.
Well, I would love to claim that I was the author of it. It was a brilliant professor from Winnipeg who just he pondered and pondered and pondered, and he's not accustomed to teaching at the high school level. So when this just kind of popped out of our group deliberations, we all just gasped because we think it's so powerful.
And I think it's even so very relevant with the refugee crisis, politically right now. I think there are so many different ways that you could take that.
Exactly.
And then so many different, like cross-curricularly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is, Kurt, I think, was just starting to touch on that a little bit. Yeah. In the chat here.
Yes. Terrifying.
Terrifying. Oh.
Well, I'm going to move us on, and it kind of is very connected to, Tammy, what you just asked us to do. We have a shared document, and Christy has it up right now on the shared screen, but I'm going to paste the link into the chat so that you have access to it. And we can go on there and you can actually type in, we're going to share some best practices and or ask for feedback on some things. So if this doesn't work, let me know. But you should be able to click on that link if you haven't already and access the document that you can see on our shared screen. And then we should all be able to just type straight into here a best practice.
I will try to come down here and put my initials here.
And I see all sorts of anonymous things.
All right. Okay, so. I totally got distracted. I'm reading everyone else's now. Oh, Kurt, I love how you put, oh, I'm sorry, I probably should be. I just love how you put experimentation in here. I just think that is so key in allowing and giving credit to getting words out, trying again. Something doesn't work, try again. And modeling and providing opportunity for that. It's just so important to me in the writing process.
I'm actually working on an MEA presentation workshop based on that little mini class observation. I'm trying to find a couple of our pre-service teachers who are willing to co-present with me so we can do it as a 2-hour workshop at MEA.
Oh, nice. That looks great. Love this. Tammy, that to me too, what you put up there, it just goes back to what you were even asking about earlier, and I wrote that, you need to put that video there, but I just feel like, that this is where, it is so powerful to see and to understand that writing process. And it doesn't change as we get older in the sense that sometimes that first paragraph that we write doesn't make sense. And we have to get it out there, and it's basically scribble on the page until we pull out the one part of it that is, oh, that middle part there is what's actually going to become that better paragraph later, or move to another part or whatever. But it's that process, and the sooner students realize that, I think the better. I think that's great.
It's just really, it's so interesting because she created this entire synergy within my former school where 90% of students in some grade levels were proficient and advanced in literacy, in reading, on the old CRT. And half of the class was in the advanced category, and this was a 75% Indian majority school on a reservation.
Right. Giving them that, that confidence and that, moving forward, and yes, not, they don't hear no, they hear yes. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, I think that connects to what I was talking about too. So many of my students are so afraid of having the wrong answer, or it's not right, or I didn't do it right, or I don't know what to say exactly, that they are stuck. They can't take a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's a misnomer, particularly as they get older, and I know, Bridget, you deal with this in high school. I have a 14-year-old that I personally deal with this at home with, is just wanting to have it perfect coming out that first time. Like they get stuck right here because it needs to be not wrong when it comes out of their, pen or their fingers onto the keyboard.
So, and I contend that is because we have overvalued conventionality and undervalued the quality of their ideas and the message and the actual story that is being generated by them.
Right.
We don't let them tell their stories. So they come to think that punctuation. Well, what they learn in the primary, what a first grader learns is the more I write, the more errors I make. Therefore, write less, make fewer errors.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You get them in 7th and 8th and 10th grade, and they won't write at all.
Yeah, you're lucky to get a sentence.
Yeah.
But even the ones who are writing, so right now I have all 10th graders. I have 3 sections, so about 80 or 90 regular sophomores and about 50 honor sophomores. Mm-hmm. So I have everything from I don't want to write to I don't want it to be wrong. It needs to be perfect. So
Yeah.
There are challenges on both ends of that spectrum. So even if they're willing to write, some of them still like, they don't want it to be wrong and are so very afraid to take that risk. And
Yeah.
they haven't had a voice. They have, you have to have it exactly 100% right, because you have to be perfect and you have to get 100%. You have to have an A.
Mm-hmm.
So when did we stop actually teaching writing as a process? I mean, I'm seeing students come up through the system and they have no awareness that their first draft is a draft, that they will revise and revision and rethink and then can fix up and proofread and edit.
Right, and so many times,
You know, that it has to come out perfectly the first time, or
yeah.
in what setting is their first effort not being validated?
Well, some teachers are certainly doing that. At NCTE this year, I went to the session that Shauna Peoples, the National Teacher of the Year,
Right.
talked about some of her approaches in classes with reluctant writers and readers and so forth, and many of them directly involved reframing their first version.
Right.
That's probably unfair because we would expect her, someone with that kind of recognition, to do so.
Well, Kurt, I think there are teachers doing that, but I also think there are several teachers who aren't doing that. So they're saying, okay, you have a paper due on Friday, it's Tuesday, get it done outside of class and turn it in by Friday at midnight.
Right.
And so there's no value there on the process. There's just value there on the end product.
And the deadline, that deadline. And, you know, I see, Bridget, you put down here in the chat, you know, I call all the writing for my class working drafts. And that's a valuable tool, knowing that we can keep drafting even after maybe the due date. They get it back. And if you offer that chance, like, come in for a conference, let's revise this, let's work on this a little bit more, you know, that gives the message that it is an ongoing process. And, you know, it comes back to the time. I saw you highlighted that, Bridget, the time, you know, giving the time for that thinking
yes.
with the document, and thinking about the revisions and seeing if a revision works and putting it in place, and sitting with it and coming back to it with a fresh eye. All of that takes time, and that is such a valuable commodity.
I was working in my office an hour before this conversation with a student who's going to miss a couple of classes, and for me that's a week, and showing her that the reason that an assignment wasn't yet up on our supporting site was that I was revising it to help students do a better job than they did last term when I used the same assignment or a similar assignment, and actually brought it up on the screen and was reframing some of the paragraphs. And then asked her, is that clear? And it was helpful to me. Well, she's a good writer now. I stacked the deck because she knows what she's doing and knew what I was doing.
Right.
But it really helped me think of, maybe tomorrow in class I'll show a before and after version of the assignment, and then ask them if the revision is any clearer to them.
Right.
And I hope by doing that reinforce the importance of reworking a document.
Exactly. And it is helpful to have, you know, and just even showing students of that other, you know, stepping outside, being able to step outside of their work and look back in, and that we have to do that too. We have to sort of step outside of ourselves to be able to look back in at our work in a more sort of objective fashion, so to speak. So being able to sort of physically do that is helpful if you can kind of, you know, orchestrate that in some way, I guess. Yeah. Bridget, I am so curious about your research poems here.
Yeah.
I am so excited to see what that is. Hopefully maybe you can share that out at the next PLC, at least a couple of samples or something. I'm really interested in this.
So that was actually, the research poem was something I saw at NCTE, and I was very intrigued.
Yeah.
one of my focuses this year has been kind of trying to push students out of their comfort zones as writers, because so often they're just asked to write an essay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, one, that's a valuable thing. I do think being able to write an essay is valuable, but I also think that there are so many other forms of writing. And when I went to the research poetry session, it was fantastic, and I was definitely intrigued. So we have tried it, and they had their drafts for the research poems were due last week, but they include citations. They had to paraphrase information from their other sources. So they're doing what could be really cool things. We'll see if it works.
Right.
But I will definitely share some of them.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see this.
So that's just one of their pieces for their argument multi-genre project. But that's a writing piece, and so we kind of mixed together some of our citation formats because it looks nicer with endnotes, but we are doing MLA still.
Right.
But we're practicing our citations, and then they got to choose their 3 other pieces, so anything from op-eds to news articles to visual argumentation, and just really starting to think about different ways that we make arguments and that we see arguments around us.
That's so great. And I actually see Tammy talking about the Daily 5 and the 3 ways for reading a book. And but in the Daily 5, there's that, read with a partner, discuss with a partner, talking. And so even in elementary school, getting students into this idea of talking, writing, where did you find that? Let's look for that together. It starts in those primary grades so that we can build them up to you in high school, and then Kurt, at university level, in talking in different ways and writing in different ways ultimately. So.
Yeah, and I think even that's important for them to be able to do it, but I also think it's important for them to see that there's not one right way of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's not one right way of reading, there's not one right way of writing.
Exactly.
I think that's
what really showed up in the students in that mini class of potential college students here, when they read the sample works, that the better readers didn't. They recognized some of the poetic techniques of Sylvia Plath or Billy Collins really well, but their reading of the figurative portions didn't change, well, except for rhyme and alliteration. But they just were incorporated. They incorporated them right into the smooth, coherent reading of the rest of the text. And that was one of the points I guess I was trying to make for them, was that effective figures of speech sound just like prosaic treatments of subjects. And maybe that's connected with business, the question, Tammy's question or claim, that anything I can say I could write.
Right.
Good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, this is great. I just want to come back to the process for a minute here of us being in this document, sort of all writing together and highlighting parts. And I just think that worked out really nicely. I don't know about anyone else, but I've really been enjoying this sort of communal writing experience.
I know I'm watching Tammy. She just keeps writing.
Yeah.
I can't stop.
Oh, you need anonymous
I write
readings.
all day, every day, all day long, and I'm behind on so many projects.
Yeah, what is Tammy's the anonymous minx?
Yeah.
I'm the minx. Is that what I am?
M-I-N-K. I love that. M-I-N-X. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wish we each had a different color on the text, and I can't remember how we did that, but it'd be really fun because then we'd recognize each other's color.
A lot of times you
do
come up
that. Just go up to the menu bar, select the text you're working with, and then just change the color.
Yeah. Next time.
That's it. So right there, if I decide I want to be purple.
Oh.
Oh.
There you go. I should
The
have
only
done purple
disadvantage,
today.
one disadvantage of that is that then if you want to use color as part of your writing, that you need to go back in and change those elements, those words or sentences.
I will do that.
I think you're right. I think that's one of the delights here. If we read through this or glance through, just on the sake of looking at variety or difference, how different do we have to be scary? The vast majority of the material, which is well edited prose, or pretty strong prose, and in single spacing and 1-inch margin. I mean, the kind of things that's very easy for us as a small group to read. It's just kind of interesting. We've not, in this collaboration anyway, switched to some of the more, I don't know, I guess visually startling or effective changes. But I didn't either.
Yeah, you're right. We sort of stayed in like prose format, sort of making it lengthy, and not falling into any other different types of genre writing. Like, no one put any emoticons in or anything like that.
Oh, thank heaven. Oh, well, sorry.
I'm trying to write a report where I've been told to be absolutely terse, and when I hit page 12 and know that I'm not going to have more than 12 bullets read, I immediately went, "From!" I have to rewrite it.
That's a great point, because any one of us could be constructing our information in another program and then pasting.
Oh, true. Yeah, I like the ongoing, like seeing what people are typing and glancing around. I really appreciated this, format. So we'll have to do it again.
This was great fun.
Yes, indeed. And exactly what we were kind of, I think, hoping for the PLC, Bridget.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I did want to put on here, because I am recording this, I did want to show, I know Kurt and Tammy, I don't know if you ever need renewal units for any reason, but I was able to create a course on the Teacher Learning Hub called the Montana Writing Teachers Online PLC Recordings course. And this is a place where teachers can come. They have to sign up for an account, but the videos will all be posted on here. It's basically a video library for the recordings of these PLCs. And then there's a discussion forum. Click a link here where teachers can write in the discussion forum. And once they've made some discussion forum posts, then an email, you'll see there's a renewal unit form. Once they've completed this upper discussion forum activity, they can click on the renewal unit form. They will fill out a brief evaluation, and that will get kicked back to us to send them a renewal unit. So just for teachers who may need renewal units, here's a way to get one, once a month. By coming, they can watch the video if they missed it, but if you've participated, you come and, join the discussion, and then get your renewal unit from that. So just to let everyone know that is now available. And on our Google site for this, I do kind of keep that posted as well. I keep a recording posted there, so we can always, if you miss one, you can always go back and see it. And that looks like this on our Google sites. And I'm hoping that this will come over to the view. It's the Montana Writing Teachers PLC, and you see the upcoming events. I have a link to join, and then if you go to resources and meeting recordings, if you click that link, then there's the video from the January one. You click there, and I will add the others as we go. So there's a couple places to access the videos to this, but the way to actually get the renewal units is here through the Learning Hub. So that is the way to do that for those teachers that need those.
Cool. I also just put in one of the research poem working drafts.
Yay.
Just so you can see.
Love that. So cool. It's just fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, it's been fun. Sometimes it's
Very,
struggle.
very cool, Bridget. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, and even advancing a de-icing system. That, ooh, I got little goosebumps reading that line.
That's not mine. That's one of my students. Yeah.
Very cool.
Christy, did you send out the link for the Google site?
You know I sent it out, I think in one of the 3 big ideas, but I want to let you know, I will send that out again, and I just was able to get a bulk email list. I just got approval for that. So I will actually be able to send out bulk emails now that will have this information. It'll make communication a little bit easier, at least from my end. I can't do it very often, but what I'll do probably about maybe 2 weeks before the next PLC, I will send out an email that will have that in the Google site and the renewal units course for this information will be kind of concise and all together. And does this time work for everyone? This is sort of the second Wednesday of the month at 3:45, because I feel like we have a consistent day and time, then people will just know it's the second Wednesday at 3:45. If we should keep it at this time, what are some thoughts on that?
Works for me.
It works for me.
Yeah.
I never know what my work week is like.
Right. So Bridget, if you're comfortable, should I just go ahead and start to then say, it's the second Wednesday, because that way, whenever anyone stumbles upon, the Google site or it's advertised somewhere, it's just the second Wednesday of the month, and we don't have to worry about a specific date.
It works for me.
Okay.
And I obviously matter.
I agree.
Okay.
So I will change all of that to make sure that that's what's reflected in anything that I'm sending out.
I think that would simplify things for people.
I agree. And it is the same, the go-to meeting link is the same link each time, so that's easier as well. So I'll send it out again for everybody, but this is the link. I was able to make a recurring meeting, so it'll just be the same link every time.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Yes, but please do continue to send the reminders with the link on the Wednesday when we have our discussions.
Will do, Kurt. I thought that was helpful too.
I
It would help.
things like that.
I'd love to get it so that it connects straight into my Google Calendar, actually.
You can.
Yeah, that's my next thought.
Yeah. It does, it does link directly to my calendar. I don't know how that happens though.
I don't know, small Google mice.
Well, when I can accept it, and I can, like, if I say yes to it, like I don't know, it's in my calendar automatically as well. Tammy, we'll figure that out for you.
I'll figure it out. Usually, if it's I don't know. I've got lots of things that do pop into my calendar, but
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I will, I'll check into the settings to see if there's something I need to click in the meeting settings to make sure it does that. But Bridget, you said it's doing it for you, so I know it's doing it for me too.
Yeah, it's sending me a go-to meeting invitation, so I don't know if you're just...
that's probably...
Sending out just... I'm looking at my email right now, so I don't know if you're, like, when you just send out that general one, that's not an actual invitation. You're just giving everybody the link to join the meeting, but maybe now that you can send out some of those bulk ones, you can send us out the go-to meeting.
I'll see if I can send I work for it. It's just the way it is. Sometimes things are a little tricky in getting sent out, but I will see if I can send it via invitation. But for sure, Kurt and Tammy, I can send you that invitation to this recurring meeting, so that hopefully you can maybe at least get it captured somehow in your calendar. I'll have to see if I can do that at least.
I know. I think that's probably it. I was out of the loop last month, so it's just a matter of accepting an invitation to a meeting.
Yes, let me see what I can do about that, and I'll try to do it through my new email list, but I'll have to make sure if that will work or not.
All right.
Very cool.
Does anybody have anything else?
Nope, just thanks for a great meeting, everyone.
Great meeting, really fun. Thank you, everybody.
All right, I will stop the recording now. Good to see you all.
Have a nice